Hey guys, take 1 million of me trying to do this presentation. I just keep going way over the time limit. So I'm just going to try to run through this and hopefully I'll be okay. Alright, my name is Jack Frizzacaro. I'm a senior undergrad studying English, minoring in education, and I'm in the creative writing program. Today I'm going to be discussing with you Appleby and Langer's chapters 5 and 6, as well as discussing the TED Talk given by Suki Kim, which was suggested for English majors to watch. Overview: the opening chapters of the Appleby and Langer text, as well as the Suki Kim TED Talk that I will discuss a little bit later, truly emphasize the importance of writing in education and its abilities to enhance student learning and comprehension in all subjects, as well as provide students with an outlet to express themselves freely and be more fully engaged with learning. Writing assignments provide for teachers a better overall insight into how their students are developing educationally and emotionally. So, I wanted to ask, how many kids do you know, or how many people do you know today who read math or science books for fun on their own time? Maybe adults more so than kids, but definitely not a lot of kids, at least not that I know of. Also, how many of you have asked the question, in a math or science class, like, why are we learning this? We will never have to use this in real life. So, these questions might be able to be answered or even fixed by talking about increasing emphasis on writing in these fields. There are many ways that, the educational system can improve in all aspects in order to increase students' competency in math and science. But one way, for sure, if you all read the chapters, one way is to utilize more writing exercise in the classroom. For math, much of what students practice in math classes involves a lot of repetition and memorization. Writing can be used as a tool to get students to think about math in a larger context, as a way to view the world and solve problems beyond numbers and equations. An important aspect of having students write in math class is to get them to become fully engaged with communicating mathematically, I love that concept of, I'm not just learning math, but learning how to communicate mathematically. I think that's great. Not only could writing in math class develop student understanding of the content, it can also encourage students to become part of mathematical communities. So, math clubs, competitive math teams, study groups, robotics teams, etc., which would encourage them to stick with math and maybe even have fun with it, if that's possible. I'm sure it is. It wasn't always for me, but anyway. Some methods that teachers are utilizing writing in math classes are having students write essays describing real-life scenarios that require mathematical description. Assignments like these are great ways for students to prove their in-depth understanding of math. It also shows real-life applications of math, which is great. I think the inclusion of more essays like these could answer those questions that some students might ask of, like, why are we doing this? Well, using like triangular theorems to build a doghouse, like something like that. That's a way we use math in our everyday lives. So that's a really great step in the right direction, I think. Also, the use of open response questions in testing. This allows students to solve problems using words and explanation instead of purely using computation. This would really help teachers better understand and pinpoint their students' mathematical strengths and weaknesses by evaluating their process of solving a problem, rather than viewing a single answer, not having any idea how they got there, if they struggled or if they just made a wild guess. Alright, on to Chapter 6, Science. Many science classes use writing probably more so than math, but typically the writing is still limited to short answer questions. Students write short paragraphs explaining findings or write a sentence describing a scientific process. And this is great, but it's not fully engaging students in thinking and, again, communicating scientifically, similar issue to the math field. A couple short ways that teachers are getting around this are having students keep journals. They also call these response logs, reflective writing on science. To quote the text, a couple other techniques that are used are end-of-lesson takeaways, open response prompts, and lab reports, requiring students to engage with content in more thoughtful, reflective ways, requiring extension of student thinking or minds-on thoughtful reflection and analysis of science content. So, just to give you a little bit of my experience, I don't really recall my math and science teachers having us write at all, really. I was always an average student in math and science, part of the reason why I'm an English major today. I think in math, I had trouble comprehending numbers. The sight of numbers intimidated me, confused me. The second, probably biggest reason for my trouble was I have a terrible memory. And math and science often, utilize memory-based testing. So I think writing in these classes would help someone like me and give me, more opportunity to grow and learn and utilize my strengths in math and science. Maybe I would have even developed an interest in math and science if that were the case. Anyway, I'd like to open up the discussion to you guys. If any of you guys are math and science majors, let me know in the comments what you think about incorporating writing into these curriculums. What was your past experience? I mean, did you guys have a lot of writing incorporated in your classes, or not really? Let me know. Also, if you guys aren't math and science majors, I'd also like to hear from your experience as well. And also, what is everyone's opinion on, writing in math and science? I'm really curious to hear what everybody thinks. In my opinion, I think it's important to remember that every student has different skill sets and ways of learning. The students that have a natural ability for math and science may not need to be writing as much as the students that need more in-depth immersion and understanding. This is why I feel that maybe writing shouldn't be the #1 priority in math and science classes, but it should certainly be used to help struggling students and even provide increased understanding for already skilled students. Let's get into the video. The TED Talk I watched was by Suki Kim. The talk was titled, "This is what it's like to go undercover in North Korea." For the sake of time, I'm going to skip the summary and discuss with you the aspects of the speech that I just found most important and relevant to teaching. I suggest you go watch the video for a better understanding of what I'm about to talk about and whatnot. Plus, it's just a really great video. It's very powerful and moving. Firstly, one of the takeaways that I got from this speech was highlighting the importance of creating relationships with students. Kim's speech really proves that teachers should never blame students for the situations they're in, no matter how different or difficult to understand. In Kim's case, it was that her students are residents of North Korea, which is, as you know, a dictatorship, and the way life is there is very different from the way it is in South Korea or the U.S. Anyway, this can apply to any teacher who has worked with students from different types of communities and cultures. It also relates back to the Rita Pearson video we watched last week, with emphasizing the importance we build. Emphasizes the importance of building relationships with students. That's what I took from this video. It also relates to the readings and showing the importance of utilizing writing as a tool to help students better understand their situations educationally and personally, as well as help teachers better understand their students. Excuse me. Another important lesson to take from this video is the importance of cultural sensitivity when it comes to working with students from other cultures. Although Kim and her students were technically both, Korean, herself from the South and her students from North Korea, she found that their culture and way of life living in North Korea was vastly different than her own experience. But instead of fearing or ignoring the differences, she recognized them. Of course, the students didn't know this because she was undercover. But she utilized these differences and developed lessons to fit their needs. Their tough and conservative exteriors and emotional state caused by the dictatorship, of course, began to melt away, and Kim gained their trust. So that was really awesome. Finally, the story relates in many ways to the work we should be doing as teachers to always be culturally competent or culturally responsive. Cultural responsiveness is a set of professional, political, cultural, and ethical dispositions that extend beyond the act of teaching, based on beliefs about education, students, their families, and their communities. The ultimate goal of cultural responsiveness is to help students succeed. I thought I'd share. Anyway, this also relates to my job working as a tutor in UB's Center for Excellence in Writing. We work with a lot of international students and English language learners, so it's imperative that we take into account language and cultural difference in order to help students succeed. So I decided to end this presentation with an audio clip of an interview I conducted with one of my consultants at the center. The student, Frank, was very kind to let me ask him a few questions. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with the clip. I hope you guys enjoyed this presentation. I hope it made sense. I can't wait to hear what you guys think. Alright, see you guys. Bye-bye. How would you say the process of learning English has been for you up to this point in your life? Whether it be like learning English back at home or learning English here in America?
Honestly, I learned English here in America because even though I took some English courses in El Salvador, but it was like technical English, just basically know the meaning of some words. But I would say that I learned English in the United States, like learn how to write an essay, a paragraph, a sentence, and all the verbs, like in present, past, and past participle, whatever.
Cool. And would you say it's been like an easy process or a difficult process, or?
It's been a difficult process for me, honestly. I feel that it has taken like longer than usual.
Yeah.
But because I've been always like working at the same time.
Yeah.
So I guess in order to pick up a language, you need to practice and be involved also with the community that is speaking the language.
Yeah.
To pick it up easier.
So you say like you think just being here and being immersed in people speaking English all the time around you has helped?
Oh yeah, it has helped tremendously.
All right. After being here and being in school, what do you think some things that maybe helped you with writing English, and like if there's any like teachers that you can think of that were really helpful to you with writing in English, or anything that you sort of thought about yourself and figured out yourself with writing?
What I found like really helpful in this process is like being able to read articles, even from the newspaper, from the internet, and try to write a summary of the content, and visit like the writing center or ask my professor for some suggestions, and I guess that's been like helpful.
Cool. Do you read a lot of like stuff in English to help?
I
with,
try
like,
to,
comprehension.
Now more than ever,
Cool. All right. And you talked about this before, but so what are some qualities that you think a teacher professor should have when working with students from other cultures still in the process of learning English, or in varying levels?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, I guess like the main one is patience. And because I seen it from my experience that some of the professors get like some sort of how do you say, like they don't feel comfortable when the students don't pick it up the first time or the second times, and I don't see that they have like the patience to repeat the assignments or the topic like 2 or 3 times. So patience, I think, is very important.
Cool.
For someone who's teaching English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, that's a great answer, and I think that's actually, you know what? Maybe I have another question for you, real quick. Do you think that writing is important in like the math and science fields?
Right. I guess in general, writing is important. No matter what major you are in or what field are you gonna be working on, but being able to communicate like properly, and being able to express your idea not only like through words but by writing, I guess is very important. And also help you to increase your vocabulary. And
Cool. All right, I think that's about it. That's all I really have.